Captain Lee Taman stood on the bridge of his ship and looked out at space. He could see the alien ships coming toward Earth, and they looked scary. The ships were huge, like floating cities in the dark. The metal on their sides had strange marks that hurt his eyes when he tried to look at them for too long. His friend Park Sujin worked at the communication desk. She turned around and her face looked worried. "Captain, the aliens are sending the same message over and over. They want us to follow the Treaty of Centauri Prime right now," she said. Taman smiled, but it was not a happy smile. 3 months ago, humans had done something that no other people in the whole galaxy had ever done before. They took the big treaty paper and tore it up, right in front of all the alien leaders. Then they walked away from the meeting. The treaty would have made Earth into a big farm, and humans would have been like slaves working for the aliens. On the big screen in front of them, Ambassador Kongbora appeared. She was talking from the lunar station near the moon. Her face usually looked calm, but now she looked stressed. Behind her, Taman could see the Earth government meeting, and everyone was shouting. The alien visitors sat quietly, but they looked very angry. "The Vorthan Empire says we have 72 hours to change our minds," Biora told them. "They say that when we said no to the treaty, we were being bad, and now the whole galaxy is endangered." The aliens did not know that humans had been getting ready for this day ever since they first met aliens 20 years ago. The aliens thought Earth people were dumb and easy to control, but humans had been learning and getting stronger. The galaxy was about to find out that thinking humans were weak was a big mistake. Lieutenant Commander Yoon Ji-ho worked at the weapons desk. He looked up from his computer. "Captain, I can see ships moving all around our solar system. It's not just the Vorthan ships. The Nexari and the Kelthane Empire have ships around our colonies on Mars and Europa too." The aliens thought that when they came to Earth, the humans would be scared. They thought humans would cry and beg and agree to anything the aliens wanted, but the aliens were wrong. Humans had been secretly building the strongest army the galaxy had ever seen. Human workers had taken alien machines and made them better in ways that seemed impossible. Human generals had studied every space battle for hundreds of years, learning from each win and lost. Him and walked to the big window and looked out at the alien fleet. The ships were so big that they blocked out the stars, but he was not afraid. He knew something the aliens did not know. Humans were not the same people they had been 20 years ago. When the aliens first came to Earth, they brought gifts and talked about peace. They said they wanted to help humans join the big galactic family, but the gifts came with a price. The aliens wanted Earth to grow food for them. They wanted humans to mine metals and make things. The aliens would be the bosses, and humans would be the workers. At first, many people on Earth thought this was good. The aliens had amazing technology. They could travel between stars in days. They had medicine that could cure any sickness. They had machines that could make anything from nothing, but some humans were not happy. They asked questions. "Why do we have to be farmers? Why can't we learn to build ships? Why can't we explore space too?" The aliens always gave the same answer: humans were too young, too wild, too dangerous. Other species in the galaxy had learned to be peaceful and calm over thousands of years. Humans were still fighting wars and destroying their own planet. The galaxy could not trust such violent people with advanced technology, but the aliens were wrong about humans. Yes, humans fought wars, but they also learned from them. Yes, humans made mistakes, but they also fixed them, and most importantly, humans never gave up. When someone told them they could not do something, humans worked twice as hard to prove them wrong. For 20 years, while the aliens talked about peace and friendship, Earth military was getting ready for war. They built secret bases deep underground. They trained soldiers in ways the aliens had never seen. They studied alien technology and found ways to make it better. Oh Minyoung was Earth's best expert on alien minds. She had spent years learning how aliens think. She knew that most aliens in the galaxy thought very slowly. They made plans that took hundreds of years. They moved carefully and never took risks. Humans were different. Humans could think fast and change plans quickly. While aliens were still talking, humans were already acting. The news about what happened at the treaty meeting had spread across the galaxy faster than light. Every alien world was asking the same question: how did the humans become so brave so fast? The answer was simple: humans had never been weak. They had just been waiting for the right time. Park Sujin turned from her desk again. "Captain, the alien fleet commander wants to talk to you directly. His name is Admiral Korvax of the Vorthan Empire." "Put him on the main screen," Taman said. The screen changed and showed an alien that looked like a giant bug with too many eyes. Its voice was deep and scary when it spoke. "Human captain, you will surrender your ship and return to Earth. You will tell your leaders to sign the treaty, or we will take your planet by force." Taman looked at the alien admiral and smiled. "No," he said. Simply, the alien seemed shocked. "No human has ever said no to the Vorthan Empire. We are the strongest power in the galaxy. You're nothing but children playing with toys, maybe," Taman said. "But these children have learned some new games." He turned to Ji-ho. "All ships report ready for battle." Sir Ji-ho said. "The hidden fleet is in position." Taman looked back at the alien admiral on the screen. "You came here thinking we would be afraid. You thought we would cry and beg and do whatever you told us to do. You were wrong. We are not the same humans you met 20 years ago. We have grown up." "What are you talking about?" The alien admiral said. "Humans have no real weapons, no real ships. You cannot fight the might of 3 galactic empires. Watch us," Taman said, and he turned off the communication all around. Earth, the hidden human fleet began to move. Ships that had been hiding behind asteroids and moons suddenly appeared. Ships that looked like space junk suddenly turned on their engines and showed their true power. The aliens had been watching Earth for 20 years, but they had not been watching carefully enough. The human ships were smaller than the alien ships, but they moved like dancers. The alien ships were slow and heavy like big rocks floating in space. The human ships were fast and smart like birds flying through the air. Admiral Kovacs watched his screens as more and more human ships appeared. Where did they all come from? He wondered. How did we not see them on Earth? President Kim So-hyun stood in front of cameras that would send her words to every human in the solar system. "My fellow humans," she said, "today we show the galaxy that we are not children. We are not servants. We are humans, and we bow to no one." The first battle was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Admiral Choi Hae-won sat deep underground in a secret room beneath the city of Geneva. The room was full of computers and screens showing every human ship in space for 20 years while alien visitors talked about peace on the surface. Earth military had been building the greatest war machine the galaxy had ever seen. The aliens thought humans were weak because they had never seen humans truly angry. They were about to learn the difference between human politeness and human fury. The first real battle happened at Europa Station, where humans had built a mining colony on one of Jupiter's moons. The Kelthane Empire had sent 5 of their biggest warships to surround the small human base. They thought it would be eashy to capture. Captain Shin Dong-hyuk commanded the human destroyer called Thunderstrike. It was just one ship against 5 alien cruisers, but he was not worried. The Kelthane admiral probably laughed as he prepared to catch what he thought was a helpless target. The alien ships moved slowly in a straight line, like they were marching in a parade. They had always fought this way for thousands of years. The same old tactics, the same old formations, but human pilots had trained in Earth gravity where one mistake meant death. They had learned to fly through asteroid fields where rocks came at them from every direction. The Thunderstrike moved like a dancer in space. Instead of flying straight toward the enemy, it spun and twisted between the alien ships. The Kelthane weapons tried to hit it, but the human ship was too fast and too smart. Lieutenant Park Hyojin sat at the weapons control on the Thunderstrike. She had studied alien shield technology for years and found all its weak points. The human weapons were based on Kelthane designs, but Earth scientists had made them much better. Target their shield generators, she told her crew. The aliens always put them in the same place. The Thunderstrike fired its main guns and the energy beams cut through the first alien cruiser like it was made of paper. The Kelthane shields that had protected them for centuries suddenly meant nothing. The cruiser exploded in a ball of fire and metal on the other alien ships. Panic began to spread. How could one small human ship destroy their mighty cruiser so easily? The Kelthane had ruled space battles for 2,000 years. No one had ever beaten them so quickly, but the Thunderstrike was not done. Captain Shin had learned something the aliens never understood. Speed was more important than size. Surprise was more powerful than heavy weapons. The human ship raced toward the second Kelthane cruiser, moving so fast that the alien weapons could not track it. The Thunderstrike fired again, and another alien ship died. The explosion lit up the dark space around Europa like a second sun. Back on Earth, Dr. Oh Min-young watched the battle on her screens. She had spent years studying how aliens think, and she knew they would be confused. Most alien species thought slowly and carefully. They made plans that took months to change. When something unexpected happened, they froze like deer in headlights. Humans were different. When a plan stopped working, humans made a new plan in seconds. When the enemy did something surprising, humans did something even more surprising back. The third Kelthane cruiser tried to run away, but human ships were faster. The Thunderstrike caught up to it easily and destroyed it with a single shot. The alien armor that had seemed so strong was useless against human weapons. Admiral Kovacs of the Vorthon Empire watched the battle from his flagship and could not believe what he was seeing. 3 Kelthane cruisers destroyed in minutes by one human ship. It was impossible. The humans were supposed to be primitive farmers with crude weapons, sir. One of his officers said. The Kelthane admiral is requesting immediate assistance. He says his remaining ships are retreating. Kovacs said. How can they be retreating? They outnumber the humans 5-1. The officer showed him the battle data, sir. The human ship is using tactics we have never seen before. It moves in patterns that our computers cannot predict. Its weapons are somehow cutting through Kelthane shields like they do not exist on Europa Station. The human miners watched the battle through their dome windows. They cheered as the Thunderstrike destroyed the 4th alien cruiser in a spectacular explosion. The 5th and final Kelthane ship turned and ran back toward deep space, moving as fast as its engines could push it. Captain Shin spoke to his crew over the ship communication system. Well done, everyone, he said. Now the galaxy knows that humans are not helpless, but this was just the beginning. All across the solar system, similar battles were starting. Human ships that had been hiding for months suddenly appeared and attacked alien fleets that thought they were perfectly safe. At Mars Colony, Commander Ru Sung-min led a squadron of 12 human fighters against a Nexari battle group. The Nexari had brought 20 heavy warships expecting an easy victory against what they thought were crude human vessels. The human fighters were small and fast, like angry bees attacking a giant. The Nexari ships were huge and powerful, but they moved like sleeping elephants. The human pilots used the red planet gravity to boost their speed, flying in loops and spirals that made the alien gunners dizzy. Fighter pilot Lee Soyoung dove her ship between two Nexari destroyers, firing at both of them as she passed. Her weapons had been designed by human engineers who understood that sometimes the best defense was a really good attack. The Nexari admiral tried to order his ships into defensive formation, but the human fighters were already inside his formation, striking at weak points and escaping before return fire could hit them. One by one, the Nexari ships began to explode. Their shields were designed to stop big, slow weapons fired from far away they could not handle. Small, fast weapons fired from close range by pilots who flew like they were dancing. In 30 minutes, the entire Nexari battle group was destroyed. The human fighters had not lost a single ship. The alien crews who survived in escape pods could only watch as their mighty fleet became floating scrap metal. The news of these victories spread across the galaxy faster than anyone thought possible. Every alien world with quantum communication heard the same impossible story: humans were winning. On the ancient world of Vorthan Prime, the Galactic Council held an emergency meeting. Representatives from 200 alien species gathered in the Great Crystal Chamber. They had ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years and never seen anything like this. High Counselor Vex stood before the assembly, his tree-like form shaking with anger. "These humans must be stopped," he said. "They are destroying the natural order of the galaxy. Young species must learn to obey their elders." But Counselor Yith of the Ethereal Collective was not so sure. "Perhaps we have misunderstood these humans," she said. Her energy form flickered with uncertainty. "Our intelligence reports were wrong. They are not primitive at all on Earth." President Kim Soo-hyun spoke to her. People from the United Nations building behind her holographic displays showed human victories across the solar system. Each battle told the same story: human cleverness beating alien arrogance, human speed defeating alien strengths. "My fellow humans," she said, "we were told to know our place in the galaxy. We were called primitive, savage, unworthy of respect. Today we show them what humanity truly means." Admiral Choi Hae-won looked at the reports coming in from every battle zone. Human casualties were almost zero, while alien losses were massive. The secret weapons and tactics that Earth had developed were working perfectly, but she knew this was just the beginning. The aliens would not give up easily. They would bring bigger fleets, more powerful weapons. They would try to crush humanity before the human advantage could spread to other young species. The galaxy had learned its first lesson about underestimating humans. Now it was time for lesson 2. The Galactic Council station floated in space near a dead star that had collapsed into a tiny ball of incredible density. The station was bigger than most moons and had been the center of galactic power for over 10,000 years. Now it buzzed with panic as representatives from 200 alien species tried to understand what was happening. High Counselor Vec of the Vorthan Empire stood in the great chamber, his crystal and tree-like body glowing with anger around him. The chamber filled with sounds, lights, and smells as different alien species tried to communicate their fear and confusion. "The humans have broken every law we have made," Vex said, his voice echoing through translation devices that turned his words into forms other species could understand. "They attack our fleets, destroy our ships, and show no respect for galactic order. They must be crushed before their disease spreads to other young species." But not everyone agreed. Counselor Yith of the ancient Ethereal Collective was a being made of pure energy contained in a shimmering force field. She had lived for over 3,000 years and seen many changes in the galaxy. "Perhaps we have been wrong about these humans," she said, her thoughts reaching every mind in the chamber. "Our spies told us they were primitive, but our fleets tell us they are incredibly advanced. How did we miss this?" Truth was that the Galactic Intelligence Services had become lazy after ruling for so long. They had stopped really watching the species they controlled. They sent reports that said what the Council wanted to hear instead of what was actually happening on Earth. President Kim Soo-hyun stood before cameras in the rebuilt United Nations building. The old building had been destroyed in the resource wars 50 years ago, but the new one was stronger and more beautiful. Behind her, giant screens showed human fleets fighting alien forces across the solar system. Every battle showed the same pattern: human ships moved like living things while alien ships moved like machines. Human weapons adapted to any defense while alien weapons stayed the same. Human tactics changed every few minutes while alien tactics had not changed in centuries. "My fellow humans," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of Earth and to the colonies on Mars and the outer moons. "For too long we have been told we are not good enough. We have been called violent and stupid and told we must serve others. Today we prove that humans serve only themselves and those who earn our respect." Commander Ru Sungmin led his fighter squadron in a battle near Titan, the largest moon of Saturn. His small ships faced a massive Nexari battle station that was supposed to be impossible to destroy. The station had shields that could stop planet killing, weapons and guns that could destroy entire fleets, but the station was designed to fight other big, slow alien ships, not small, fast human fighters that moved like angry wasps. The human pilots flew in patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully planned. Each pilot knew exactly where the others would be and what they would do. Lee So-young dove her fighter straight at the station main weapons array. The Nexari gunners tried to track her, but she was moving too fast and changing direction too often. Their targeting computers could not keep up with human reflexes. She fired her missiles at the exact moment when the station shields had a tiny gap. The missiles were small, but they carried human explosive technology that was far more powerful than anything the aliens had ever seen. The explosion tore a hole in the station's side big enough to fly a ship through. The other fighters followed her through the gap, firing at the station vital systems from inside, where the shields could not protect them. In less than 10 minutes, the massive battle station that had taken the Nexari 50 years to build was nothing but floating scrap metal. News of the battle reached every corner of the galaxy within hours. The quantum communication networks that the aliens thought were secure had been secretly tapped by human intelligence. Years ago, Earth spies had been listening to alien government discussions and military planning for decades. On every alien world, the same questions were being asked. How had the humans become so powerful so quickly? Where had they learned to fight like this? Why had no one seen this coming? The answer was simple but hard for aliens to understand. Humans had been preparing for this moment since the day they first met aliens. They had never trusted the promises of peace and friendship. Instead, they had quietly built the most advanced military force in galactic history. Dr. Lim Dejin worked in her secret laboratory deep in the mountains of Korea. Around her, the greatest human scientists and engineers worked day and night to stay ahead of alien technology. Every alien device that came to Earth was studied, taken apart, and rebuilt in better ways. While aliens thought in terms of centuries, humans thought in terms of years. While aliens made small, careful changes, humans made bold, revolutionary improvements. While aliens followed traditions that were thousands of years old, humans created new solutions every day. Captain Nam Ruan commanded the experimental ship Breakthrough somewhere in the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. His ship was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Instead of being built for one purpose, it could change its function completely in just minutes. Right now, it looked like a simple cargo ship, but with the push of a button, it could become a heavy fighter or a stealth scout or a mobile command center. The aliens had never seen technology like this because they had never imagined it was possible. The Breakthrough detected a Kelthane patrol fleet approaching the belt. The alien ships were searching for human bases, but they had no idea they were being watched by the most advanced warship ever built. Juhan smiled as he watched the alien ships on his screen. They were still using the same search patterns their ancestors had used for thousands of years. They moved in straight lines and checked each asteroid one by one. It would take them months to search the entire belt, but humans had learned to use the belt itself as a weapon. They had placed tiny devices on hundreds of asteroids that could push the space rocks in any direction with precise timing. A single command from the Breakthrough could turn the entire asteroid field into a storm of flying death. The Kelthane ships had no idea what was coming. They continued their slow, careful search while human computers calculated the exact moment to strike. When that moment came, Ruan gave the order. Hundreds of asteroids suddenly changed course all at once. They came at the alien ships from every direction, moving faster than any weapon. The Kelthane shields were designed to stop energy beams and missiles, not house-sized rocks moving at incredible speed. The alien ships were smashed to pieces in seconds. The few survivors could only send confused reports back to their commanders. They had been destroyed by rocks, flying rocks that seemed to move by themselves across the galaxy. Alien military leaders tried to understand what was happening to their fleets. Every day brought news of new defeats, new impossible human victories. Their greatest warships were being destroyed by an enemy they had thought was harmless. The galaxy was learning that humans were not just another young species to be controlled. They were something entirely new, something that did not fit into the ancient patterns of galactic civilization, something that could not be stopped by traditional methods. The age of alien dominance was ending, and the age of human power was just beginning. Dr. Lim Dejin worked without sleep in her laboratory deep beneath the Korean mountains. Around her, hundreds of the smartest humans ever born worked on projects that would have seemed like magic to their grandparents. The laboratory was hidden so well that even human satellites could not find it, but inside it, the future of the galaxy was being built while alien species across the galaxy fought with weapons and tactics that had not changed in thousands of years. Humans had spent 20 years changing everything they touched. The secret was that humans never accepted that something could not be improved. Alien species had evolved on worlds where everything stayed the same for millions of years. They learned to think in patterns that worked and never changed those patterns. Humans came from Earth, where nothing ever stayed the same, where survival meant learning to adapt faster than the environment could kill you. Where aliens saw a problem that needed a solution, humans saw an opportunity that needed exploration. Where aliens asked how to make something work better, humans asked why it worked at all and whether there might be a completely different way to do it. Captain Nam Ruan stood on the bridge of his ship Breakthrough and watched his crew prepare for the most important battle in human history. The ship around him represented 20 years of human innovation and centuries of human dreams made real. The breakthrough looked like no other ship in the galaxy because it had been designed by minds that refused to accept limitations. Alien ships were built for one purpose and stayed that way for their entire service life. Human ships were built to become whatever they needed to be right. Now the breakthrough was configured as a command and controlled vessel coordinating the movements of the entire human fleet. But in 5 minutes it could become a heavy assault ship or a stealth reconnaissance vessel or a mobile repair facility. The aliens had never seen such flexibility, because they had never imagined it was possible. Lieutenant Park Min-young sat at the weapons control station and watched displays that showed information no alien had ever dreamed of seeing. Human sensors could detect things that alien science said were impossible to detect. Human computers could calculate solutions to problems that alien mathematics said had no solutions. That weapons themselves were works of art that could change their function while they were being fired. A single human missile we could become an energy beam or a gravity weapon or a cloud of microscopic machines depending on what the target needed. Human ships carried weapons that aliens could not even identify, let alone defend against all across the solar system. The final battle was beginning. 300 alien warships from 7 different empires had come together to destroy the human threat once and for all. They brought the most advanced technology the galaxy had ever produced and crews trained in warfare. Techniques refined over millennia. Facing them were 50 human ships, carrying weapons and using tactics that had been invented in the past 20 years. It should have been no contest at all. The aliens outnumbered the humans 6-1 and each alien ship was larger and more heavily armed than its human opponent, but numbers and size meant nothing when the enemy could think faster and adapt quicker than you could respond. Admiral Park Hyojin commanded the human fleet from her flagship, Revolution. She had studied every space battle in galactic history and learned from every victory and defeat. Her tactical computers contained more information about space warfare than any alien database, but more importantly, her human mind could use that information in ways no alien could imagine. The alien fleet approached in the traditional formation that had worked for thousands of years. Heavy battleships in the center with cruisers on the flanks and destroyers screening the edges. It was a formation designed to fight other alien fleets using alien tactics, but the human fleet did not fight like aliens. Instead of meeting the enemy head-on, the human ships scattered in all directions using the asteroids and moons of the outer solar system as cover and concealment. Some ships hid behind Jupiter moons while others used the rings of Saturn to mask their movements. Still others simply disappeared from alien sensors using stealth technology that should not have worked. The alien admirals tried to understand what was happening, but their tactical training had not prepared them for this. Human ships appeared from impossible directions, fired weapons that behaved in ways that violated known physics and vanished again before return fire could reach them. Commander Lee Sang-ho piloted a small human destroyer called Quick Strike against a massive Vorthon battleship that was 10 times larger and carried 100 times more firepower, but size meant nothing when the enemy could not hit what they could not predict. The Quick Strike moved through space like a dancer performing a routine that had never been choreographed. Its pilot made decisions faster than alien computers could calculate responses. Its weapons fired in patterns that seemed random but were actually perfectly planned to exploit weaknesses in alien defenses within minutes. The Great Vorthon battleship was crippled and drifting. Its shields had been designed to stop massive energy beams fired from other battleships, not small precise shots fired from a ship that moved like a living thing. The Quick Strike had found every weakness in the alien design and exploited them all across the battlefield. Similar scenes were playing out. Human fighters used gravity wells to boost their speed beyond anything aliens thought possible. Human cruisers fired weapons that changed their characteristics mid-flight, becoming whatever was needed to penetrate enemy defenses. Human battleships worked together like parts of a single organism, sharing information and coordinating attacks in real time. The aliens had brought their best technology, their most experienced crews, their most proven tactics, but they were fighting an enemy that refused to follow the rules that had governed galactic warfare since before their civilizations began. Min-young watched the battle from Earth and saw something the alien commanders could not see. The battle was not really about technology or numbers or even tactics. It was about 2 completely different ways of thinking about problems. Aliens thought about space battles the way their ancestors had thought about them for thousands of years. They used formations and strategies that had worked before, and they expected those same methods to work again. They moved carefully and deliberately, following plans that had been made before the battle began. Humans thought about each moment of the battle as a new problem that needed a new solution. They adapted their tactics minute by minute as conditions changed. They used weapons in ways they had never been used before. They combined technologies and combinations that had never been tried. Most importantly, humans never assumed that because something had always been done one way, it had to continue being done that way. They questioned everything, tested everything, changed everything, until they found something that worked better. Battle of the asteroid belt lasted 6 hours. When it ended, over 100 alien ships had been destroyed or captured, while humanity lost only 12 vessels. The greatest military alliance in galactic history had been defeated. by a species that had been spacefaring for less than a century. Admiral Korvax of the Vorthan Empire found himself a prisoner aboard the Revolution, looking at Admiral Park Hyojin across a table in the ship conference room. He still could not understand what had happened. "How did you defeat us?" he asked. "We brought 7 fleets, the best ships in the galaxy, crews with centuries of experience. How could 50 human ships destroy 300 of our?" Spark smiled at him, and her answer was simple. "We did not try to fight you the way you expected to be fought. We fought you the way we needed to fight you. The moment you assumed we would follow your rules, you had already lost. The galaxy would never be the same." The ancient empires that had ruled for millennia now faced a new reality. A young species had proven that innovation was more powerful than tradition, that adaptability was more valuable than experience, that the courage to try new things was stronger than the safety of doing things the old way. Humanity had won more than a battle. They had won the right to reshape the galaxy itself. The Great Council Chamber had never been so quiet in its 10,000-year history. Representatives from 200 alien species sat in stunned silence as Ambassador Song Mirei stood before them. Her simple human form looked tiny compared to the massive alien beings around her, but her voice carried the weight of a species that had just changed the galaxy forever. "We never wanted war," she told the assembled representatives. Her words translated into hundreds of languages and thought patterns. "We wanted respect. We wanted to be treated as equals, not as children to be managed and controlled. You forced us to prove our worth through violence when we would have preferred to prove it through cooperation." The terms she presented were simple, but they represented a complete revolution in how the galaxy worked. Humanity would be recognized as a sovereign power with the right to govern its own worlds and make its own decisions. The old treaty system that kept younger species as servants and farmers would be completely reformed. Most importantly, the galaxy would learn to treat newcomers with respect rather than contempt. Future contact with new species would be based on partnership rather than domination. The age of the ancient empires, ruling over everyone else, was coming to an end. High Counselor Vec of the Vorthan Empire tried one last time to maintain the old order. "These humans are dangerous," he said, his crystal form flickering with anger. "They have shown they will use violence to get what they want if we give in to them. Now other young species will follow their example." Ambassador Song looked at him with calm eyes that had seen too much war. "Yes, other species will follow our example," she said. "They will learn that they do not have to accept whatever scraps the galactic powers offer them. They will learn that respect must be earned, not simply demanded because you are old." The vote was not even close. Species after species voted to accept the human terms. Some voted because they feared human military power, others voted because they had secretly admired human courage, still others voted because they remembered what it felt like to be young and dismissed by their elders. When the final count was announced, humanity had won not just the war but the peace that followed. The galaxy had a new order, and humans had earned their place at the center of it. Emperor Chen Wu Jin stood in the same underground bunker in Geneva where Admiral Choi Haewon had coordinated the human war effort, but now the bunker was being converted into something completely different. Instead of war rooms, there would be diplomatic offices. Instead of weapons planning, there would be trade negotiations. The same brilliant minds that had created the most advanced military force in galactic history were now focused on building a better future for all species. Human scientists were already sharing their innovations with alien researchers who had spent centuries stuck in the same old ways of thinking. Human engineers were working with alien builders to create new technologies that combined the best ideas from dozens of different worlds. Human doctors were learning alien medical techniques while teaching aliens about human approaches to healing. "We have shown the galaxy that humanity cannot be ignored or dismissed," Chen said to the gathered leaders of Earth. "Now we must show them that we can be trusted partners in building a better future for everyone." The transformation was happening faster than anyone had expected. Young species that had been oppressed for centuries were suddenly finding their voices. Older species that had ruled through fear were discovering that cooperation worked better than domination. Captain Li Taemin now wore the uniform of an admiral, but his ship was no longer a weapon of war. The bridge of his vessel had been reconfigured for exploration and diplomacy instead of tracking enemy fleets. His senses searched for new worlds and new civilizations. He stood at the great window of his ship and looked out at a sight that would have been impossible just months before. Human ships flew alongside alien vessels in mixed formations. Their crews worked together to fight pirates, protect trade routes, and explore the unknown regions of the galaxy. The first joint human-alien mission was about to begin. A combined fleet of ships from 12 different species would travel to the edge of the galaxy to investigate strange signals that had been detected by the new sensor networks human innovation had made possible. Lieutenant Commander Park Soo-jin, who had served with Timon through the war, now commanded her own ship in the joint fleet. Her crew included humans, Vorthans, and species that had been bitter enemies just months before. The bridge of her ship buzzed with activity as different species learned to work together. Human efficiency combined with alien experience. Alien patience balanced with human urgency. New solutions emerged from old problems as minds that had never worked together before discovered the power of cooperation. Enroll, the communication came from the lead ship of the joint fleet. We are receiving signals from the edge of the galaxy. Something is out there waiting to be discovered. Demon smiled as he gave the order to begin the mission. All ships advanced to jump coordinates. Let's go see what else is out there waiting to meet us. The jump to faster than light travel felt different now. Instead of rushing toward battle, the ships were racing toward discovery. Instead of carrying weapons of destruction, they carried tools of exploration. Instead of fighting for survival, they were reaching for the stars. Dr. Lim Dujin watched the fleet disappear into hyperspace from her laboratory, which was no longer hidden but had become the center of the new Galactic Institute of Technology. Around her, human and alien scientists worked side by side on projects that would have been impossible for any single species to complete alone. The greatest discovery was not any particular invention, but the realization that different ways of thinking could be combined to create solutions that no one had imagined before. Human creativity merged with alien wisdom, alien patience balanced with human urgency. Young species brought fresh perspectives, while ancient species contributed knowledge gathered over millennia. The galaxy was becoming something new, something that had never existed before, a true partnership between equals where every voice mattered and every idea was valid. There, war had ended, but the real victory was just beginning. Humanity had not conquered the galaxy, they had liberated it from the ancient empires that had ruled through fear and tradition, from the assumption that might made right, from the belief that things had to stay the same because they had always been that way. In the great archives of the Galactic Library, new entries were being written, the story of how a young species had refused to accept the limitations others tried to place on them, the story of how innovation had triumphed over tradition, the story of how the galaxy had learned to grow and change and become something better. The future stretched out before them, filled with possibilities that no one could have imagined. Human ships carried mixed crews to distant stars. Alien worlds welcomed human settlers and teachers. Human colonies shared their knowledge with alien neighbors. Children of different species played together in schools that taught both human creativity and alien wisdom. Scientists from dozens of worlds worked together on projects that would benefit everyone. Traders carried goods and ideas between worlds that had never been friends before. The galaxy had learned that diversity was not a weakness to be controlled, but a strength to be celebrated. That different ways of thinking could create better solutions than any single approach. That the courage to try new things was more valuable than the safety of doing things the old way. Humanity had torn up the treaty that would have made them servants, and in doing so had freed not just themselves but the entire galaxy. The ancient order was gone, and in its place was something new, something better, something that honored the potential of every species to contribute to the greater good. The stars themselves seemed brighter now, as if they were celebrating the dawn of a new age where anything was possible and every dream could come true.